Welcome back to Art with Mrs. Samsel. This week we're going to learn about artist Henri Matisse, or Henri Matisse. Matisse was an artist from France that spent much of his career painting a variety of works of art. As he got older, he was injured. He had an illness, and this illness led to him being paralyzed in a wheelchair. And instead of deciding, hey, I no longer want to paint or create art, he continued to become inspired by art and started using scissors and cutting out shapes. Then he would arrange his shapes into an interesting design and cut and paste them onto a larger canvas. This technique was known as collage. So today in the art room, we are going to take Matisse's collage techniques and a famous work of art called the Goldfish, and we're going to mix the two to recreate or become inspired to create our very own fishbowl. And there are two different ways that we can do this. One is going to be creating a two-dimensional work of art, or you could select to create a three-dimensional fishbowl. Two-dimensional art is art that is flat, and we don't really care about the back. Three-dimensional art can be viewed from all 360 degrees. So if I put my bowl on the table, it will stand and I can look around it at 360 degrees, and it stands up and takes up that 3D space. On designing a fishbowl that is standing. Now, depending on which one you select, even if it is your two-dimensional work of art, it's important that as an engineer, you know that your fishbowl doesn't fall off the table. And with your three-dimensional one, it's gonna have to stand up. So today, let's create a work of art inspired by artist Henri Matisse, famous work of art called the Goldfish. So we are going to learn how to create this kind of 3D vase with fish and some glued leaves on the outside, inspired by artist Henri Matisse. Standing fishbowl, you're going to need 3 pieces of white paper, a pencil to draw, scissors, some green paper for your leaves, and then something to color it with. You can use markers or crayons, or if you'd like to, you can paint it. So get your materials and let's get started. So I'm going to start first with my pieces of paper. I have 3 of them, and each one is going to get folded in half. So getting our positioning correct first, my paper is horizontal side to side. It is not vertical up and down. Now when I look at the whole piece, I want to fold it in half so it makes 2 pieces, kind of like a book. I'm going to repeat with my other 2 pieces of paper. And my last one. So I have my folded paper, and if you want to plan ahead with me just so you can kind of see what we're doing, we're going to eventually just glue all these sides together, and then it will make your standing up aquarium or your fishbowl. So I have my 3 pieces of folded paper, and this is a rectangle shape, and I want to think about the bowl. And so here's going to be the top of the bowl, and this is going to be the bottom. Whatever I do, I know I want the bottom of the bowl to be flat so it's not falling over. Okay, so we have to engineer it to make sure it stands up. Now the side of the bowl, I can make it round. My example, I gave it just a little bit of a curve here, but for the most part, and you can see I did cut it down quite a bit when you look at the fold, but for the most part, I've kept the shape. So I'm going to put all pieces of paper together. So I have all three. I'm gonna take my pencil, and I know on the fold, that's super important. If I do it up where these pieces open up, I'm just gonna have a bunch of cut paper. So it has to be on the fold. I'm going to shorten it down a little bit, 2 fingers, and that's gonna be the opening for my bowl that my fish can go in. I'm gonna leave the bottom flat, and then for me, I'm gonna add just kind of a little curve, and I'm gonna play around and see if I can get kind of a round fishbowl and experiment to see if that will still stand up and work, since my last shape was kind of boring. So I have it almost about 1 finger from the edge and still very flat here. Now, it's better to keep it big. You can always cut it down to make it smaller, but you can't add paper. So now I'm gonna keep them all together and cut it. So, if you would like, you can glue it and then draw things so you kind of know where it's at, especially because we don't want to go through so much work of drawing all these details inside all sides of our bowl to find out that then it's going to fall over. So grab a glue stick. A glue bottle, if you have it, is okay. It's just going to take longer to dry. And it might warp your paper. I'm using just basic printer paper that we had from the computer. So I'm gonna put an outline of glue and then a line in the middle. And I'm going to take the back of one, making the shapes match. And glue that down. So you can already see how that's gonna work. Now, taking the outside of the other one, outlining it with glue, putting a little in the middle, getting it to match, and rubbing it together. So now, they're stuck together. That wasn't too bad. And all we have to do is glue the last one together. And what's nice about a lesson like this is, let's say that I wanted to not have it glued all the way together. I could glue it like this on a piece of paper and have this part pop up. And this way, by the last glue we just did, it's going to complete it. So you have 3 pieces standing up. Okay. There you go. So mine stands up. Okay. So I have 3 pieces that look like that, and I've got my fishbowl. Okay, that was 3 pieces of paper working for me. So now that we have it put together, I wanted to show you the difference. So this one I have 3 and it's standing. This one I have 4 and it's standing. So I use 3 pieces of paper here, 4 pieces of paper here. You could make another one if you wanted, or like I said, this could get glued on and pop up. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So if you like the 3 standing, that works for me. If you want to do a 4th one, grab another piece of paper and come back with me, and we'll add one more just to see how you could continue on. Okay, so I have my extra 4th piece of paper here, and I'm going to repeat the same process and fold it in half. So the reason I did this is because I really want you guys to start becoming independent and selecting how you want to create your art and not just copy me. So that's why I'm giving you so many different options. Once you have, if you're going for the 4, once you have that, you can just put it right back on top and trace it and cut it and add it. So again, I'm on the fold, tracing the shape. And now that I have the shape cut out, I'm going to glue it down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I glue this back to it, I'm going back to 3, okay? So you can see we worked through a couple things together, and that's why I wanted to engineer it and design it before we went and we created all of our beautiful aquarium or fishbowl details, because that is no problem. So once you have your fishbowl, you are gonna have to come up with a design with fish, maybe some coral, whatever you'd like to draw in there on each page. It's almost like a book. So I'm gonna start on one page, and I am going to draw some fish, and my goal is to make 3 to 4 fish depending on the size of my bowl on each page. So I think of an oval shape that's big enough that I can fit my finger in it. I don't want too tiny. So I like to close them off and then add their fish tail and their fins. And remember that this is a fish bowl, so there is an area here where there is not any water up at the top. You can then keep adding and drawing everything in pencil. So I might want to put a little coral or seaweed, some rocks, some bubbles, and my fish look like they're having a good time in that fish bowl. Now I could color this page, or I could draw all my pages. Whatever the order is you want to do is totally up to you. I'm gonna start drawing my details in marker. If you want to paint yours, plan ahead. So if you wanna paint yours like I did here, I had to outline in Sharpie because the paint would have washed away the marker. If you're gonna color it in just marker and crayon, which I am gonna do with this one, then you can use a regular marker to outline your details. I always like to do that, it kind of makes things pop. Always add gills if you wanted. So like I said, now I could come back and color this one, and now I have to go on to my next picture. Again, drawing fish. In Henri Matisse's artwork, he had goldfish, so I'm gonna kind of keep mine all gold to go with that theme. But that's up to you. There, if you have fish, you know there's a lot of really cool things like a treasure chest or fun different things you could put in your aquarium. So you can change that up as well. I'd love to see how creative you get with your design. And once you kind of have the base built and you understand your drawing on each page, you can turn the video off if you want, take a break, color it all, and then come back with me and we'll add some leaves and kind of finish it up. Okay, so I am all done with my drawing on all sides. I added a little detail on the bottom, the little rocks on the bottom. So I had leaves, some seaweed. I did a little castle, and then some coral. And it will stand like this. Now I can paint it or color it. So with the materials I have at home, I have my crayons and my markers. I like for the main subject, the main idea to be in markers and then color the background in crayons. Also, I feel like that's a lot of blue marker behind here for the water. So that would be best to do in crayon. I'm gonna make my fish and my bottom details in the marker and everything else in crayon. If you're going to paint it, just be careful that the paint might warp a little bit or wrinkle, but mine worked fine. It was faster to paint, but not everybody has that at home right now. So notice how easy that is with the crayon. Remember, I was talking about not pressing hard so your hand doesn't get tired. And I was able to, even in some areas, since I am pressing lightly, just go right over the details or the bubbles, and it didn't take away from that. Whereas if I was coloring with a dark blue marker, it would really saturate and take a longer time because you would see the areas where there's still white. So another tip is I colored in one direction, which made it look a little higher quality instead of scribbling everywhere. So whatever you decide, come up with, and then repeat it on all the sides of your fishbowl until it's done. Okay, so I finished coloring my fishbowl, and I'll have to say that I really enjoyed the combination of the markers with the crayons in the background that went rather quickly. And I love the shape of this bowl and how it stands. You can completely leave it like this if you are satisfied and super happy. But our artist, Henri Matisse, he had in his artwork with his goldfish a lot of leaves in the painting itself. And so you can, which I will show you, take out your green piece of construction paper, and you can use a pencil if you want to draw them first, but I'm going to show you a couple of different leaves that you can have glued around your fishbowl. So when I draw a leaf, I always start from the inside, and I make these little V shapes, and then I kind of make an oval around it. You could have a group of leaves together, which I kind of like and find interesting. So you do 3, you could do a group of 2. Okay, so there's my group of 2. And then if I wanted to do another, you can do however you want. It's your art. And another thing I'm gonna show before we finish is the cutting it out. Sometimes cutting out things with a lot of detail can be frustrating, so I always cut out my large shapes first. So just some scissor rules for my younger friends. Do not point scissors at you, no running with scissors. Thumbs up when we cut. I catch a lot of people early on with their thumbs down. And we want to develop good habits as we learn to cut. So thumbs up, cut out your basic shape, and then go around it as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm not worried about the little itty bitty space in between. That would just be silly to focus on to cut out. So there's my combo of 2. Yes, sorry, Da Vinci thinks that's good. There's a single leaf. Okay, so I have my leaves cut out. Got my glue stick, and I'm just gonna decide, do I want some of them? I definitely don't want to cover up that cool castle. So maybe flipping it around. Right here's a big area, so I could put some leaves here on the side, kind of coming off. Be aware as you design how you want your leaves not to have them on the bottom, or else it will change the structure and they might fall off. It might fall over. So I want to make sure that that edge stays straight. And there is a leaf on that page. And over here, I'm going to have kind of one at the top. And then maybe here at the bottom. Oops. Do anything with this leaf because I'm kind of happy with what I have. So here is my finished bowl inspired by Henri Matisse and my collage of adding the leaves. And it stands up and voila! I hope you had fun creating this lesson with me. I am so excited to see what yours turned out like. Take a picture, send it to me. I'm trying to be professional.